Greetings, Coppin fam. Welcome to our second episode of Bit by Bit. It's been a long summer and we couldn't wait to get back to you guys. Those that aren't familiar with what we do, Bit by Bit is our video podcast designed to put all of our users in the know. So whether you're a student, faculty, staff, alumni, or maybe you think you want to be a student someday, we can give you everything you need to know about all the things tech. And boy, do we have a show for you today. Joining us first is going to be Melissa Rigby, our lead digital apps developer here at Coppin. And then we're going to be joined by Jessica Lucas, who is a media guru that we brought on board to help us with our website redesign. So without further ado, we'll start with Melissa. Greetings, everyone. Welcome to our second episode of Bit by Bit. We have a very special show for you today. I'm joined today by Melissa Rigby, who is the lead digital apps developer here at Coppin. Hey there, Melissa, how are you?
Hey, Thomas, I'm good.
Great to have you. Now, we have Melissa on the show today because we have a very exciting thing going on here at Coppin, and that is we're going to launch our brand new website. And Melissa is actually the lead on that project, and I'll let her go into a little bit what that entails. But we're going to start off by letting you introduce yourself to everyone, Melissa.
Well, thank you, Thomas. My name is Melissa Rigby, and as you said, I am the lead digital apps developer within the Innovation Development, Education, and Assessment team, or IDEA team, that's led by Dr. Dion Kergren. So we are really excited I'm excited to be here to talk to you a little bit about the project.
All right. So Melissa's been at Coppin as long as I've been there, even longer. I think you told me earlier that you started in 2005 as an employee, but you have a Coppin origin story that goes back even further. Can you tell the folks about that?
Yeah, I've been here for a while. I actually started as a camp counselor before I started college. It was a camp called Camp Sunshine, and it dealt with students who had sickle cell anemia. So I did that for a summer after I graduated high school, and then I started at Coppin in the department of, well, eventually I would declare my major in the Department of Mathematics and Computer Science, but yeah, I started in 1998.
Oh, wow. So we have a knack for finding folks that just don't want to leave Coppin. So I mean, I think our first guest has been here since elementary school. So it's great to have you on and to see your commitment to Coppin, you know. Um, so website redesign, that's where we're going. And um, I know that could sound a little daunting. Could you kind of explain what that means to the viewers out there?
Yeah, absolutely. So there are different levels of redesign. There could be a refresh, but we are doing a complete website overhaul. Everything is basically changing. Mostly everything is changing. Some of the content will stay the same, but we're getting a new platform, a new content management system, or CMS, that is the tool that we use to manage the website and the infrastructure. Um, there's a lot of new features coming on the site, like a new Spanish language translation feature to help with our prospective students and their parents who may be Spanish speaking, to help them to find information in their own language. And that's something that's very important to help them to understand and get the information that they need.
Oh, that sounds great. Or as our Spanish friends would say, muy bien, right? So this sounds like a lot of work, but it surprised me to find out that we're about to launch here in the coming days, and you guys started this last year?
Yeah, so we began last year. It was actually a two-phase project. We did our website discovery phase and then the actual redesign phase. So with the discovery phase, I think maybe Jess talked about this a little bit in her interview, but we talked about, how is the Coppin website currently working? Are people finding what they're looking for? What are the good things? What are the bad things and the ugly? And we tried to figure out how we could reposition the website to better serve our needs, as well as to keep up with the technology trends.
Right. So generally, it's my understanding as well that there's like a cycle where you have to always do things like this. But then I was told that this was on Dr. Jenkins's list when he came in. This was something that he was really interested in doing. So could you kind of go into that and how his leadership helped us get this ball rolling?
Yeah, definitely. That's one of the absolute things that we want on board when we start any type of massive project like this. We need to get top leadership buy-in and the president's support. He was ready for it. He was completely on board. So once we had that, we knew that we were ready to begin this process.
Excellent. So you had top-down support, and from within our division, I'm sure Dr. L's leadership is always, doesn't need to be spoken of. It's there. You see it, right? But then with that, you guys sought out everyday users like myself and our viewers to kind of help with that process. What kind of role did we play in helping with that?
Yeah, we definitely got feedback from IT. We got feedback from different students to see, once we had those designs, to see what they thought about it. Did they think it felt like Coppin? Which designs did they want, or did they like better? I think you were there when we sat down with some of the students in the IT help desk,
Right.
and they got to say, what they thought about. We gave them three different, they're called style tiles, which are basically kind of like a just like a mood board that shows colors, pictures, and gives a feel of how the site would look. And the feedback that we got from them was really, really helpful. But then also across the campus, we have members on our campus work group from academic affairs, from faculty, Senate representation, from student affairs and enrollment management, athletics, all of the divisions. So we just wanted to make sure that we had that input to make this project a success, because this is not IT's website, this is Coppin's website. So we really wanted to make sure that it reflected what we are.
That's great to hear. That's great to hear. Now, you guys brought a off-campus entity on board to assist with that. That was MindGrub. Can you talk about what the role they played in this process?
Yeah, MindGrub, first of all, they were just fantastic. We were really pleased with their work, their energy, their ideas. They felt um, like they were Coppin, as
Right.
they dug in and they learned about us. They really took on our charge. So they were in it as much as much for us as we were for ourselves. So we were really happy to have them on board. Um, they conducted interviews with stakeholders in the discovery phase, trying to figure out, what is it that internally we felt the Kaplan was, so that they could understand our brand and that they could work and design the website to reflect that brand. Um, Jessica Lucas, she did a fantastic job with writing content, which is so very important. Um, People do read,
Right.
and what they read really needs to convey how the university feels, in a friendly tone. It's really important with conveying that, not just information, but a feeling, and
That
to really
image.
draw prospective students to Coppin. Exactly. Yes.
Excellent, excellent. Now we look forward to talking to Jessica here coming up. And I say it's funny we talked about how fast you guys got this done. Like I said, 2020, I think May 2020. You said you guys began this, and here we are. Here at the end, mid to end August, ready to launch. One of the questions folks gonna ask: Why? Why now?
Well, we wanted to launch at a time, well, with the fall 2021 semester. It's a new start. So we thought it was a good time to launch the semester with a new website. It gives people a chance to get used to it and not have to, start off with a new design mid semester and then you have to, try to understand how the website works again. So we just felt this was a really good time before the start of the fall semester to launch. Give people a nice welcome surprise back.
Seems like a great time to me. We're all coming back. It's a new, fresh feel to everything, and we all look forward to getting rolling. Um, that concludes our time today. We want to thank you for coming to join us. And we look forward to seeing the launch of the website here. Is there any date that you could give us, maybe a little inside scoop for our podcast?
Yeah, definitely. We'll be looking for University Day to have an announcement officially made. So look out for that. You'll also be getting emails that talks about the new website, the features, and what's new. So I'm excited, and thank you so much for having me. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you for joining us. Melissa Rigby, lead apps developer, digital apps developer, excuse me, here at CSU. Thank you so much. We got the exclusive new website, University Day. Look out for it, you guys. Thank you once again, Melissa.
Thank you.
Well, up next, we have our liaison from MindGrub, Jessica Lucas, who we had a great conversation with. And she's going to sit down with Annie and give us the scoop about what MindGrub did to help us throughout our process. Annie?
Welcome. Today with us, we have Jessica Lucas, also known as Jess, here with us from Mind Grub. So, Jess, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Sure. Hi, everyone. I go by Jess. I am lead user experience content designer at MindGrove. It's a whole lot. So let me break it down a little bit. My job is to work with clients and work with information and figure out if we're building a website or an app, something like that. What about the content? What about the information that someone has come there to learn or to gather? And so my job as content designer is to figure out what are the users looking for in terms of information? What's the best format for that information? Is it an infographic? Is it a video? Is it even not a website or an app? It could be a one-page marketing sheet. And to figure out exactly what the user is trying to accomplish and how we can get them the information for the exact purpose that they need. So that is my role at MindGrub, and that is my role on this Coppin website development project. I've been at MindGrub for a little over 3 years now. And in terms of how I got here, I have a background in cognitive science, in neuroscience, and also education. And I was working in higher education at a school, a university in Baltimore City, and I saw a job description that was like, are you a cool person? Do you know how to write well? And I applied and I got the job. And then I realized I was completely over my head and did not know what I was doing, but I could write and I could communicate well. And so I started writing proposals to earn business. And then the marketing teams looked at me and said, have you ever done website content? Have you ever done anything like that? And I said, no, I don't know what you're talking about. And 3 years on, this is what I do. And I love every second of it.
Awesome. So, okay, so tell us a little bit about Mind Grub. What does Mind Grub do best? What clientele do you serve?
Sure. So MindGrub is a digital agency. We're a tech agency, and we really specialize in not necessarily just digital solutions, but helping our clients figure out, you know, what they need in terms of uncovering those challenges, finding opportunities. We don't necessarily have a motto, but we do have a sentiment that guides all of our work, and that's to make lives easier, make jobs easier, make lives better, and also help businesses thrive. And so pretty much anything that is going to accomplish that, those are the things that we love to do. In particular, what we're known for, we are award winning, and so I'm very proud of that fact. And we do software development, website builds, mobile apps as well, and also everything in between. So that's the UX, the user experience, the content, structuring it behind the scenes, and making all the data relate to one another, but also copywriting as well, which is another hat that I wear, and visual design, graphic design, interactive design. And we also even dabble in AR and VR as well, in creating products in those spaces.
Okay, so tell us a little bit about your clientele. Who do you service?
Oh,
Education, private
hmm
sectors?
we are everywhere, I have to say, and we're super proud of that fact. We do have clients in education, colleges and universities. We also work with local government. We also work with federal government. There are a couple of agencies at the federal level that we have current projects with, and banking and finance as well, and health and medicine are the ones that I'm thinking right now, but we really do work across industry spaces. And that's also with startups and small organizations who are just getting off the ground, or someone who might have an idea for a business. And we offer that brand development support and helping them figure out their space in a product industry or market, but also large enterprise organizations as well.
Awesome. Nice to hear. And we are definitely grateful for your services. So now let's get to the redesign, Coppin State University's website redesign. What
Okay.
is, or what was your internal process to achieve the goals for the redesign?
All right, so there were a couple steps in here, and I'll do my best to break it down. We started initially with something called a sprint zero. So, a sprint zero is a set time period. We had a couple of months that we use as a research phase. And when I say research, I mean just any form of information gathering. So, that's qualitative, things like surveys and interviews, and also quantitative, looking at website analytics, looking at any of that data that tells us what engagement and how you measure engagement for your products as well. And also looking at even the technicality of your products already. What are your marketing systems that you use? Where do you store all your data? What is the relationship between content, in your system? How are you managing content? Do you have a content management system, also known as a CMS? So that's our time to really bombard you all with questions in any form, formally and informally, to really uncover what is it that makes Coppin, what's important to you, how are you working as an organization from an operational perspective that helps us understand a bit as well, but also understanding who the brand is. What are your colors? What is your messaging? What are the goals that are important to you? And in terms of Coppin, we had to have a firm understanding of those 5 presidential priorities around recruitment, retention, and enrollment, and really understand, the need for those, the evolution of those, and understanding, the context of Coppin also in the States and within the USM, USM altogether. And so we used all of that research in our Sprint Zero, also called a discovery period. And part of my job and the job of my user experience colleagues is to start to find trends and patterns in the data and really find the story that the data tells us, because it gives us a great baseline of where to start. And it helps us understand, this is our starting point, right? Where are we going to go from here? And what's our strategy to get there? And what's the final product that we're going to create? And so we start to identify those trends and start to make recommendations tactically for the work that we're going to do as well. There are a couple of other elements that are happening at the same time of us really starting to identify those trends and make those recommendations. We are making a technical recommendation based off the assessment that we've done of your current systems and understanding your current challenges and also opportunities as well. We are looking at your audiences and figuring out who is your current audience and also who are your desired audiences and what are their behaviors. And then from a content perspective, figuring out, what is the content and information that they need to accomplish their goals, right? So we're looking at that user behavior and we're turning it into our tactical recommendations. I'm looking at content and going, here's the tone of the messaging across your products. How do you want to sound? What is the sound that aligns with your organizational brand and who you are and who you want to be? So we're also doing those assessments as well. And I'm sure you know that Coppin is a large site right now. And we had to also figure out what is every single page that is currently on the website. How important is this information? Can we keep it? Can we delete it? Should we migrate it? Can we combine it? So starting to create those spreadsheets and that understanding of the information to figure out what we do with it and who it should speak to and how we organize it tactically behind the scenes, but also for the user as well. I think I forgot design, which is of course important. So I don't mean to forget that. So also while we're doing all these other things, we're also starting to consider your brand. What are your colors? What is your photography style for any photos that you might have across your social media platforms, your website, but even in buildings across campus? What is that style? And we use the data and the trends on, who your brand is, the market that you're within, your identity as an HBCU as well, and look and say, okay, how do we want this to feel? How do we want this to look? And when people look at it, what are the feelings that we want them to get from the colors and from the style? And we create different directions, visual directions that we then take to the stakeholders and say, based off the data, based off you saying that you wanted to be, this is just an example, you wanted to be authoritative, focus on your legacy, focus on your history, then we might have a visual direction that is very formal, that has that font that's very heavy and academic, that has pictures of 500-year-old buildings and such, and presenting that as a direction that captures some of the feedback and patterns that we heard stakeholders say. What typically happens is we present multiple visual directions, and sometimes the client will say, we like direction one, go with it and prosper. But more commonly, we present three visual directions, and clients will say, we like the font from the third one, we like this accent color from the first one, we like this photography or this illustration style from the second one. And we take that feedback and we work with it, and we might have another design review with those decision makers to say, here's what we heard, here's also our recommendation based off of the user research, how we know that you want to be perceived and how others to understand your brand, and we'll iterate from there until we have a final design. And then content is always moving throughout as well, so we're editing content, we're merging, we are deleting some of that content that's old and has not been touched in years. And that's an iterative process that we work with Coppin to make sure that everything on the website is reflected for where the university is and also where you want to go.
And my understanding, that's a major part of your role, is making sure that all of that is captured and is captured according to the trends and according to how the audience is looking to receive it, correct?
Yes, yes, that's actually exactly what my focus has been. So on this project, I've been wearing a couple of different content hats. Content design is really focused on, what is what is it that the audience needs, and then how best should we present that, working with my user experience colleagues to figure out the actual layout. And then once we do that, looking at the data to say, when students are looking for programs, they want career information. I know that from my research for Coppin, and I know that from my research from a market perspective. They want to know, what job can they get if they study biology, right? They want to know, what are the courses that are there? They want to know some of the faculty members and their qualifications. So we have all of that information, and we structure it and build templates. And then from there, I put on my copywriter hat and I use the data to say, okay, here are the brand messaging that we refreshed for Coppin, and one of those brand principles is belonging. And so how can we write this in a way that someone looking from wherever they are in the world can read this and feel a sense that they belong at Coppin, whatever their journey and whatever their story is. And so, yes, that is throughout every stage of the project. That content never really stops until you've launched. And then it really shouldn't stop after, because a website really is a garden, and you have to prune it and water it and give it sunlight and care for it, for the content to still be relevant and to continue to update it, to use this tool as part of a strategy for Coppin to accomplish all the goals that you have.
Thank you for that. And I'm going to piggyback off of the statement that you made. They to feel that they belong. So
Mm-hmm.
you and I met. We met at the photo shoot. So the
Yes.
photo shoot was part of redesigning the website. With you and your lovely team came on campus, and it was what, over 2 days.
I think
Like
so.
about four sessions,
I think
morning
so.
and an afternoon.
Mm-hmm.
And when I met you all, I had a sense that you belonged.
Mm-hmm.
You guys seemed very familiar. And even going down to knowing where the buildings were, I was like, oh, wow, I was very impressed. So it felt like we were working
Mm-hmm.
with our own team. You guys didn't feel external.
Mm-hmm.
So, with that being said, what have you and your team learned about Coppin State University that you didn't learn through the deep dive and the
Mm-hmm.
research part?
Oh, um, I can speak personally to this question a little bit. I've grown up with Coppin, and I have loved ones who've attended and graduated. I've been to plays in the auditorium and concerts. I've been to, you know, cultural fairs in the PEC, and so I'm familiar with the journey of the campus and the institution as a whole, and also the students that they speak to. And what we really found was this fierce loyalty and protectiveness of Coppin, which is something that I think I got too comfortable in my familiarity to really understand, coming in as an outsider. And but I really look at that protection, that loyalty as a strength and as such a value and an asset. In talking to the students and really listening to their stories and reading some of those stories and the talent and understanding the immense odds that students have really overcome to be successful, I understand that protectiveness. And so I looked at that as education for me to change my approach and to say, we are not coming here for an indictment of where you are. Help us understand so that we can also be assets to you in that protection, in that voice, to help broadcast why you're so special. And so that was a real learning opportunity for me to really understand how deeply personal Coppin is to people who work there that we spoke with, to people in the community around, and even groups across the city that might have interaction. And I really, you know, my love for Coppin was reaffirmed, really understanding that this is a community. This is somewhere that people work so fiercely to make sure that others feel that they belong. And that was something that I really, really valued being a part of.
Thank you. And it was such a pleasure. It was a pleasure meeting you in person.
It
It was a
was.
pleasure working with your team. Everyone had a blast.
Yes.
And you'll find a link to the video with some of the back end of the photo shoot.
Oh,
You'll
nice.
find it at the end of this podcast as
Oh,
well.
nice.
So
Yes.
make sure you join in and click on that link. Now, what is your favorite part about the redesign or the process of redesigning websites in general, but particular hours? What was your favorite
Oh,
part?
um, I'm a data nerd. I really am. So part of my favorite um, for this project in particular is really drowning in the data initially because I'm asking so many questions and I'm looking at all the things and I love the onslaught of information that I get. And then figuring out the trends and starting to group things thematically and starting to uncover findings and starting to uncover opportunities. I love that as part of any project. What I really treasured about this one was, and this isn't a challenge specific to Coppin. Many institutions struggle with a website that reflects how you are organizationally structured. So, I mean, by office, by department, by college, that's how your website, typically is. And again, that's not just Coppin, that's many institutions. What we really focused on was taking the site from an organizational focus that was broken up by department, by college, to a student focused website. And that evolution of helping the Coppin team understand this is what it means when we say organizationally structured. I'm not saying that this department isn't important. This department does have a voice in a space. I'm saying that this prospective student who may have no one close to them who's a college graduate doesn't know that they need to go to this department in this school, in this college to find this program. And using the data to help people understand. I love those aha moments. There were so many calls throughout the year that we worked on this that we would walk through the data, walk through our recommendation, and walk through why it was a value. And you would see Coppin team members go, oh, and I lived for those moments. I really did. So that was one of my most favorites. And we hope that we've provided enough context that the Coppin team can continue that practice as well, long after Mindgrove finishes the project.
Awesome. So let me ask you this, being that you understand the the nuances of the website and what the user is looking to expect and going from um, that organizational structure to, like you said, a student focused structure. What
Mhm.
is the biggest change that we're going to see in the user experience based on that?
Oh, it's definitely that for sure. And by that I mean there's a section that just has academics and all the programs, right? So if I'm a prospective student and I don't really know what I want to study, what we've done is say, here's everything. You want to learn more, and we've created what's called a horizontal flow through the website. So if you're on a program page, you can go horizontally to the department page. You can go horizontally to the college page. So again, we weren't trying to hide that information, understanding how important that it was intentional in the journey so that the user could understand how they were all related to each other. And so what we've done is also create a journey that will educate the user for understanding, well, I'm in this program and there's content that says this program is in this department in this school. So we're teaching them that relationship. If you're applying for financial aid for the first time, you've never heard of the FAFSA, what is verification, what does SAP mean in terms of satisfactory academic progress, let's give them the information. Give them the information structurally, on behind the scenes. All of that information is related to the Office of Financial Aid, but the message doesn't need to begin with the Office of Financial Aid. It just needs to begin with the questions that they want answered. What kind of financial aid can you get? That's a page, and I think I called it types of financial aid, so that you could immediately get to what you need. So that goes back to the principles of content design, which is, making sure that the user can get the information that they need when they need it in a format that works best for them.
Wow, what an amazing episode. Who knew all the things that went into redesigning a website? And the fact that they got all that done in 1 year is just amazing. I look forward to seeing the finished product, as I'm sure you do. That concludes this episode of Bit by Bit. And before we go, just remember, we can get anywhere we want to go as long as we take the journey one bit at a time.